The teachings of Rabbi Sprecher, Dean of Students at Diaspora Yeshiva on Mount Zion, Jerusalem.
Parshat Tetzaveh is all about the big day kahuna. The big day kahuna, the big kahuna, and it's do clothes make the man? Or do man make the clothes? Huh? Vosita big day kodesh l'Aaron achicha. The Torah says you shall make big day kodesh, holy garments for your brother Aaron, the chavet l'tefares. For what? For glory and for splendor. So the Torah tells us that a person's clothing are his what? Glory and splendor. What about the torn jeans, Evelyn, that we see? You know, I live in Pisgat Zev, as you know, and in the window there's a clothing store, and I noticed the jeans, if the jeans have 3 tears, they want 150 shekels. But if the jeans have 4 tears, they want 200 shekels. So listen, so I'll buy the jeans for 3 tears, and save myself 50 shekels, I'll tear it myself. So why do I have to pay them, Raphael, 50 shekels extra to tear my jeans? I'll tear it myself. A
professional tearer.
Professional tearer. Isn't that insane? The Torah tells us that clothes make the man. The chovay b'sefaris. Clothes give glory and dignity to a person. But a person walks around with torn clothing, it's just, not only is not nice, the Talmud says one of the signs of a shoteh, what's a legal definition of an insane person? The Talmud says one definition is if he walks around with torn clothing. If he walks around with torn clothing, it's a legal definition of insanity. There's a lot of crazy people out there. I mean, and they don't even know it, right? Used to can tell a person, usually when he, you know, you could tell that he's crazy when he talks to himself. But today, everybody's talking to themselves. They got something stuck in the ear, like a juke in the ear, and they're moving with their hands. So today, you don't know who's crazy, who's not. Everybody seems to be talking to themselves. But if you see a person with torn jeans, the Talmudic definition of insanity is a person that walks around with his clothing torn. The Torah says that clothing are for chavait and sephoris, for glory and for dignity. For dignity. A person's glory and a person's dignity. But Aviezer raised a good point. Is he here, Aviezer?
Yes,
he raised a good point this morning. Wait a minute. We know in Hebrew, when you have one word, chava, with 2 different meanings, they have to be connected. How do you say garment in Hebrew? Beged. Beged is the same root as boged. Boged. Trader. What the heck does a garment have to do with a trader? Huh?
Because it looks, it's...
Chava said something amazing, Chava. You said something amazing. A clothing is called boged, a betrayal, because it reminds us that just like the garment, is the garment really me?
No, exactly.
It's only a covering. So my bodysuit is also not really me. Boged, it betrays who I am. The garment is not me.
It can.
It's not me.
Right.
It's a covering. It betrays the same thing. The body itself is only a garment for the soul. So when you look at a person's clothing or body, you think that's the person, but that's a betrayal. The person is not his garment. The person is not his body. The person is a godly soul. As the song goes, I'm a soul man.
But they do have garments of the soul.
Okay, well, that's a whole different topic, right? But it's not physical garments, right? And the analogy is very interesting. Remember Neil Armstrong on the moon? One small step for man, one giant. Now, right?
Yeah.
Did anybody think that funny-looking spacesuit is really Neil Armstrong? Yosef, you thought that that spacesuit was Neil Armstrong? You know. You know that Neil Armstrong is what? Inside the spacesuit. Inside. So we are all wearing spacesuits. They're called bodies to maneuver, to accomplish our mission on Earth. But don't betray me with my spacesuit. I'm a godly soul. So that's one explanation why the word beged means betrayal. Boged, it betrays, it covers up who I really am, a godly soul. But another explanation, the Zohar says, man originally was supposed to be what? Naked as a jaybird. Remember, Chanoch? Plan A was Adam and Chava were wearing their birthday suits in what? In Gan Eden. As a result of their betrayal of Hashem, when they were boged, they betrayed God, they rebelled by eating what? The forbidden fruit. Then God said, now you have to what? Cover up. Now you have to cover up. So if the beged is only a cover-up, it shows our betrayal. So why is it chaved v'seforos? Why is it for glory and for dignity? It's plan B. Plan A was that a person, his body was as holy as his neshama. There was no need to cover up the body because there was no difference between body and soul. But when we sinned, we created what's the word? Chasm? Yeah. Chasm, right? A split between the body and the soul. Now the body is no longer as holy as the soul. So now you might confuse the body and the soul, but the body is not as holy anymore because of the sin. Now you have to cover up. Now you have to cover up the body to make a clear difference between what? The body and the soul. So why is it glory, Billah? So what's the glory about it? You should be ashamed. You're a boged. You're a boged.
Isn't it also because of the animals do not wear clothes?
Okay.
We are not like animals.
We're not like animals.
So we wear clothes.
So it's very good. Okay. But that's after plan B.
Yes.
That's after plan B, right? So plan B is now we have to wear clothes. Now we have to wear clothes, even though originally we didn't have to. But now that the body no longer has the same Kedusha as what? As the Neshama. So you have to make a clear demarcation, and you have to cover it up. So why is clothes called the glory and the dignity of a person? If it reminds us of our begidah, of our betrayal.
It depends on the clothes.
But clothes itself was only because we betrayed God for the Eitz Hadas.
Okay, but now we're in that reality.
Good.
Now,
So Malka's saying now we're in plan B.
yeah, move on. And,
Right.
And which clothes are...
Right? So my Rebbe Rapam would say plan A seldom works out, even for him. Plan B is oichet gut. How do you say that in English? Avram. Plan B is also good. Also good. And how good it is that plan B can become a person's glory and dignity. Yes, it's plan B. But we can elevate plan B and turn it into our personal glory and dignity. We can turn a sin into a win. We can turn the boged, the beged, into kavod. It's Aviezer's idea. Thank you, my friend. It's so true. The Talmud in Tainus says, I learned much from my rabbis, but most of all, I've learned from my students. But you hear, you turn the begidah, you turn the betrayal into kavod esvaris. I wish we had the books here, Yehuda, but you turn the boged into kavod. That's what the pasuk says. You can turn a sin into a win. That's one of the messages of the holy garments. You can take that failure, that begidah, and turn it into kavod. That's exactly what the verse says in the beginning of what? Of Parshat Tetzaveh. But before that, the Torah speaks about the shemen zayit for the menorah. It says, katit lamor, crushed to shine. Hear this? Katit, in Hebrew, katit means to crush and pound. Lamor. Now what does that mean? Crushed to shine. And Rashi makes a very cryptic comment, Malka. Katit lamor v'lo lamanochot. What does manochot mean?
Forgive. Like
Manochot means from the word menucha. Menucha. Rashi's so profound. If you want to shine in this world, first you've got to be pressured and crushed and pounded. But not the menucha. If a person has, how do you say menucha in English?
Rest.
A rest at ease, coasting along, you can never shine. Only when the going gets tough, do the tough get going. Rafael, this is amazing. Rashi so profound. One little Rashi. Kated lamor, crushed to shine, v'lo lamanachot. But if you have a menucha, if you're not pressured in life, if you're not pounded and crushed, you can never shine. What's the example? Olive oil. You can't get the precious olive oil, Avram, to shine unless the person first is what? Or the olive. The olive is not being punished. What the poor olive do? It's not a punishment, but this is the way God set up the world. That in order for a person to shine, to extract his what? His gadlut, his potential, it's only when what? When he's under pressure and when we go through hard times. I think it's called growing pains. Yehuda, v'lo'ila manachot, it says. But if you have menucha, amazing Rashi, if you have menucha, you can't shine. We all shine on. That's what the Torah is teaching us. That all suffering in life is not a punishment, but God is squeezing us to make us shine. It's not a punishment. The olive is not being punished. But that's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up the system. That's why he set up the system. So, we have big day kahuna. All the Torah goes into great detail. Do clothes make the man? Clothes is a symbol to remind us that we are what? All of us are special. All of us are Kohanim. In a way, God calls us Mamlechet Kohanim. Even though only the tribe of Aaron is a Kohen, all of the Jewish people are called Mamlechet Kohanim. Why we call the kingdom of priests when it's only the tribe of Levi, Chanoch? Are you a Levi? Neither am I. Too bad. Raphael is a Kohen. So why does God call all of us Mamlechet Kohanim? Last week, Parshas Yisro, Yehuda Levi asked that question. God says you're all Mamlechet Kohanim. Is that true? So Yehuda Levi says, just like the job of the Kohen was to teach Am Yisrael, the job of Am Yisrael is to teach the rest of humanity. We are supposed to be a Kohen, a Or LaGoyim. We're supposed to be a light for the nations, Isaiah says. Just like the Kahanim are the teachers of the Jewish people, all of the Jewish people have to be teachers of what? Of all mankind. So therefore we're all called Mamlechet Kohanim. Mamlechet Kohanim. It's interesting. Billa mentioned, how come Elsie the cow doesn't wear a dress? Remember Elsie the cow? I'm dating myself. Remember Borden's milk? No? Elsie the cow, why do animals, Evelyn, you never saw a dog, right? With a pair, Mr. Ed, remember Mr. Ed, the talking horse? He never wore pants, did he?
But today,
what?
Today.
Why do animals don't wear any clothes?
They have fur.
What?
Fur. They have fur.
Yeah. And why do we make a bracha every morning with the Malbish Harumim? We thank God for what? For clothing us. Malbish Harumim. The first act that God did for the first human couple, Avram, was what? He made them beautiful what? Leather coats, and he clothed them. Lord and tailor. Chanoch, get it? Lord and tailor? The Lord was a tailor. It says he made them beautiful garments of leather jackets like the fans, remember the fans? A nice leather coat, and then he clothed them. So the first act that he did for the human beings, couldn't they clothe themselves? You know that they were not babies. Adam and Chava, Malka were created as full-grown adults. So why did he say Vayal Bishem? Why did he have to dress them?
He gave us a gift so that we'd have so much fun taking them off. That's why he gave us a gift.
But why did he have to dress us?
Because that's climate change.
No, they were naked. They didn't know.
They weren't naked. They had the latest fixed in. What's it called? No, they had fig leaves. Weren't they made garments of fig leaves? Like in Hawaii, they wore those.
Why did God?
Why did God have to do it? They already had fig leaves. The latest style, Evelyn, they had fig leaves. And why did he have to clothe them? So the Zohar Kodesh says something amazing. When you clothe somebody, you have to embrace them. Right? God showed that despite their bagida against him, despite betraying God, they had one mitzvah, Chanoch, and they betrayed him. God showed them, I can't stop loving you. He embraced them. You're my child. right? God's love is unconditional. Even if a child rebels against the parents will continue to hug him and love him. So that's why, it says the Zohar, why God had to clothe us to teach that his love is unconditional. But you ever wonder in English, the word skin, you'll say, look in the Webster, a synonym for the word skin is hide. You know that? Look in the dictionary. Skin is hide, and hide is skin. Why is a synonym for skin hide? Does it make any sense? I'll tan your hide. Did your father ever tell you that? I'll tan your hide. Aviezer. Parents never said that? I'll tan your hide. Why is skin the synonym of hide? What's it got to do with anything?
Skin of an animal.
Why is it called hide? Because it hides who I am. I'm not my bodysuit. I'm a godly soul. The skin hides who I am. Don't confuse me with my hide. It hides the godly soul who I am. And that's why animals don't need any clothes. Because by an animal, all you see is what you get. There's nothing behind the skin. But a human being, he has a godly soul inside. So clothes is so important now, after the sin, to remind us that just like the garment is not really me, it's only what? A covering. So my skin is not really me, it's only a covering. If a person walks around today without any clothes, what's he advertising? I'm no different than an animal. There's nothing behind the skin. What you see is what you get. But clothes is so important, it reminds us that just like the garment is not me, it's only a covering, my hide, my skin is really not me, it's only what? It's only a covering. That's why it's so important to what? To dress properly and with dignity. It draws attention. And therefore, when a person, lo yaleinu, is sitting shiva, lo yaleinu, why does the relative tear his garment? You know what the Zohar says, why the relative tears his garment, Ellen? It's a great nechama for the relative. He sees his dead relative, his body is all torn and broken. So halacha reminds him, your torn garment, is that you? The torn shirt, Yosef, it's not you, it's only a covering. So your relative whose body is all torn, it's not him either. It's only his garment. Just like my torn shirt or dress is not me, it's a covering for me. So my relative, lo yaleinu, who's dead, who's torn up, that's not him. That's just his garment. He is a godly soul, which is eternal. So that's a little bit of what the idea of what? Of clothes. How clothes make the man. It reminds us of our obligation to ourselves and also for what? To HaKadosh Baruch Hu. To conduct ourselves properly. A human being is what you see is what you get? No. The first Jewish Kala in Jewish history, Malka, Rivka. The first Jewish Kala. When she saw her chassan, what did she do? She covered her face with a veil. She made her own Evelyn Badekin. Did you Badek your Kala when you got married? She did it herself. Why did she do that? She was very beautiful. What was she teaching her husband and all of us, her future children? What was she teaching? Why? The chassan can't look at his Kala? He says, she was saying, I am much more than a pretty face, my hubby. Just like the veil is not me, it's only what? A covering. My pretty face is not me. It's only, Daniel, a covering for my godly soul. That's what the first Jewish mother was teaching all of us, her descendants. Like the veil is only a covering, the beautiful face is only a covering. Because a beautiful face after 90 years is not so beautiful. But that's not the person. The person is eternally young. His godly soul is eternally young and beautiful. So don't pay too much attention, Right? Of course, you have to appreciate physical beauty, but you have to know it's only what? It's only a garment. But the real beauty, the inner beauties of the person, of his neshama, that what? That shines, neshama that shines forever. Now, one of the Big Day Kahuna, Avi. Now, why are we learning about the Big Day Kahuna? We haven't had Big Day Kahuna in 2,000 years. Why are we learning about it in such great detail, Evelyn? Well, no, the Torah is GPS. What's your son's name, Evelyn? David. The Torah is GPS, God's personal system. Right? So we haven't had these Big Day Kahuna for close to 2,000 years. Why does the Torah give us such great detail? And what did we learn from for the year 2019? Otherwise, it wouldn't be in the book. Raphael, what's going on? One of the Big Day Kahuna that he wore, Raphael, you should know better than me, was what? The me'il. The me'il, that poncho that he wore, that a robe, that had bells on the bottom of it. What were the bells doing there? The Torah says, when Aaron comes into the Mikdash to minister, v'nishma kolo, he should announce himself. Remember on the Avon lady? Ding dong. Malka, remember the Avon lady? No? Ding dong. Says the Talmud, the Torah is teaching derech eretz. You're coming into somebody's home, you have to what? Ring the bell. The Kohen Gadol's coming into God's house. You just don't barge in. Ding dong. And this is a message, says the Talmud, every person, before he enters anybody's home, even his own home, even his own home, you don't barge in. You ring the bell first. Menschlichkeit. Chavod, you know that? Good thing you came today. Even in your own home, you don't barge in. V'nishma kolo. That's one of the messages of why the Kohen Gadol wore the bells. That's what the expression comes, I'm here with bells on. You know the expression, no? I've heard the expression, no? I'm coming with bells on. Come on, you heard that expression. You must have heard. Am I the only one? I'm coming with bells on. What?
Bells are ringing.
Bells are ringing, right? So this is one of the messages. And the other thing he wore a golden plate on his head that said Kodesh Lashem, holy to God. What did that symbolize? On his forehead, to symbolize God doesn't just want our physical service, he wants what? Our mind. God says, I want all of you. Not just your physical actions, but I want your minds. You know, some people, there's a famous Rebbe, we saw one of his Hasidim davening Shemon Esrei. So he walked over and said, Shalom Aleichem. Yiddish, Raphael. This Rebbe saw his Chosed davening Shemon Esrei. After they finished Shemon Esrei, the Rebbe walks over to the Chosed and he says, Shalom Aleichem. He says, Rebbe, what are you giving me Shalom Aleichem for?
I'm in the middle.
What? He says, I saw you davening Shemon Esrei, but where was your mind? Huh? In the ballpark, in the stock market, so welcome back. Now you finish Shemon Esrei, welcome back. A person is where his mind is. That's the symbol of the tzitz, the golden plate on the forehead of the Kohen Gadol. Now remember we said we're all Mamlechas Kohanim, right, Aviezer? Parshat Yisro said we're all Kohanim in a way. So the Talmud in Tractate Yuma, Yehuda learns an amazing idea. Yuma, page 7. The tzitz had God's name on it. It says it should be on his forehead always. Is that true? The Kohen had the tzitz 24/7? No, only when he was on duty. He wasn't allowed to wear the Big Day Kahuna, David, only when what? When he's on duty. Otherwise, he's moil behegdish. So what does it mean? It shall be on his forehead always. So the Gemara Yuma, page 7 says, always means while he's doing the service, he cannot have hesach hadat. How do you say that in English? Break concentration. He must totally be focused on Hashem while he's doing the service. That's called always. So the Rambam says something amazing. He makes, how do you say a kal v'chomer in English? The tzitz had God's name only once, Avram Kodesh Hashem, and the halacha says you're not allowed to break concentration. Says the Rambam, the tefillin has God's name in it. How many times? Bum. V'debarta bum. Beis mem is how much? 42. So certainly you can't be Masiach Dat when you're wearing tefillin. Here the Rambam's Kavachov, Madach, the tzitz only had Hashem's name once. And when you're wearing it, the Kohen has to be totally focused. Otherwise the avoid this puzzle. So certainly when a person is wearing God's crown, the tefillin, which have God's name, Avraham Bum, Beis Mem, 42 times, not once. Certainly when a person is wearing tefillin, he's not allowed to what? Have Hesach Hadat. And if he can't concentrate, he should take off the tefillin. Should take off the tefillin. Right? So look, amazing. The Kohen Gadol only had God's name once. We have God's name 42 times when we wear God's crown every morning. Avi, 42 times. Gematria bum, v'debarta bum. That's pretty amazing. This idea where the sin becomes a win, right? The boged, Aviezer, boged, we betrayed God. Otherwise, we wouldn't need any clothes. Becomes glory. You turn the sin into a win. You have that later on in the Parsha, the same idea. When Aaron gets inaugurated into the office of high priest, he has to bring a par echad. He has to bring what? A bull. So Rashi wonders, why not a turkey? A turkey has less cholesterol. Who are you calling a turkey? A turkey has less cholesterol than what? Than a bull or a cow. Why dafke par? Says Rashi, lechaper amasa egel. Yiddish chanoch. Shu par. We sinned with the calf. Aaron built the calf. What's a little baby bull. And that's no bull. So therefore we have to bring a bull, not us, Aaron. He sinned by building a baby bull, a golden calf. So now his tikkun, his kapara comes, he has to bring par, lechapra masa egel, shehu par. And therefore not another species. It's pretty incredible that you can turn a sin into a win. Aaron sinned by making a baby bull out of gold, right? So now his tikkun, his kapara, when he gets inaugurated, is to bring a par. The tikkun comes from what? The tikkun comes from the chet. So you see that throughout. You see that throughout Judaism. Throughout Judaism, you see this idea. The end of the parsha mentions the golden altar. The golden altar, which is very strange because all of the Klei HaMishkan were mentioned in last week's parsha. Ma nishtana, the Mizbach Hazov, which is detached from last week, kept until this parsha. And why should I care? We'll have a Mizbach Hazov today. Aviezer, what's it all about? So the Rishonim, they wonder, why is the golden altar left here? It doesn't belong here. Here we're talking about the big day kahuna. The golden altar should be in Parshas Truma, where all the other utensils of what? Of the Mishkan are discussed. Why do you disconnect it and leave it over here in Parshat Tetzaveh? It doesn't seem to belong. You hear the question on the table? What's the message? So the Riyah Kodesh says something incredible. I wish you had a chumash, you can see it inside. It says about the Mizbach Hazov, Aaron shall make atonement on this Mizbach Hazov. It says, Midam HaKippurim Achat Bashana Yechaper Olav. Twice it says Achat Bashana. Achat Bashana. Aaron shall make atonement for this on this Mizbach Hazov on HaKippurim. Doesn't say Yom HaKippurim. It says Malka HaKippurim, and it says Achat Bashana twice. I know, Avi, that Yom Kippur only comes what? Achat Bashana, right? So why does God have to tell me Achat Bashana twice? And instead of calling it Yom HaKippurim, God calls it HaKippurim. Says the Ari something incredible. This Parsha, if it was not a leap year, this Parsha usually falls when? During the week of Purim.
Kippurim.
Kippurim. The Zohar says that Yom Kippur is Kippurim. Hear this, David. Yom Kippur is a day Kippurim, which seems bizarre because they seem to be totally opposite. So the Ari says the reason the Mizbach Hazav is detached and left for Parshat Tetzaveh, because Parshat Tetzaveh usually falls out on the week of HaKippurim, which the Torah says over here, and Achas Bashana twice, because we get Kapara on Yom Kippur, Achas Bashana Avram, and again what? On Purim. Therefore, it's written Achas Bashana twice. Otherwise, it seems to be redundant. And therefore, the Torah doesn't call it Yom HaKippurim. The Torah says HaKippurim. It's a day like Purim. So you get kapara on Yom Kippurim, Achas Bashana, and the other Achas Bashana, Malk, is for what? Purim. For Purim. Ari. Therefore, this Parsha of the Mizbach, Hazav, which deals with the kapara of Yom Kippur and Purim, is pushed off to the week of what? Purim. This should really be Purim if it wasn't a leap year. But isn't that bizarre, Avram? Huh? How could Yom Kippur be like Purim? They seem to be totally what? Opposite days. Don't they seem totally opposite? How?
Because on Purim they were fasting in Shushan, right? Because
on Purim they were fasting when?
in Shushan they were fasting.
Yeah. So that's the connection.
We also fasted.
But we feast. On Yom Kippur we fast, and on Purim we feast.
But back
So-
then they fasted for 3 days.
Right, but that was Pesach time. That wasn't Purim. That was Pesach time. David, you hear what's going on over here? What's it all about? So Ariya Kodesh says something amazing. The Mishnah says in Tractate Yuma, Yom Kippur only atones for sins bein Odam Lamokai. Yom Kippur only atones for sins between what? Man and God. Bein Odam Lachaveiroi, Yom Kippur does not atone. Forget about it. And what's worse? Ben Chaveiro is worse, because when you sin against God, you're offending God. When you sin against a fellow Jew, David, it's a double sin. You're offending the fellow Jew and the godly soul that's inside of him. And the Chelik Elahai Mimal, that's not just a Jew, every human being has a godly soul, an image of God. So therefore, sin between man and man is worse, says the Ari, because it's a twofer. You're offending the person plus his godly soul, plus his divine image.
Is that sinning against man?
Automatically a sin against God too.
Jew and Jew, I'm talking about Jew and
Every human being has a godly soul, not just a Jew. Adam and Chava, Aviezer were not Jewish, right? And they had the Tzelem Elohim. Says the Ari. So therefore, Purim in a way is even greater, because Yom Kippur only atones between man and God. Man and man, you don't get kapara. When do you get kapara between Adam lechaveiro, David? On Purim, through the what? The good cheer, the meshloach manot, the suda, matanos levyonim. When you're reaching out to another person and you're being kind to him, that's your kapara ben Adam lechaveiro, which is even greater, Avi, than what? Adam lamokai. Yom Kippur is all about between man and God. Purim is all about what? Between man and man, which is greater? Man and man, because it's a twofer. And therefore, the Maral says when you greet a person, you say Shalom Aleichem. A single person, that's not proper grammar. You say Shalom Aleichem. So why, ask the Upan teacher, when you greet one person, why say Shalom Aleichem? It's plural. Says the Maral, because you're greeting the person plus his godly soul, plus his divine image. Shalom Aleichem, David, you know that? So Shalom Aleichem, even what? To a single person. So therefore, Purim in a way could be even greater. When you reach out to another person and show him kindness, you're getting kapara, which Yom Kippur cannot atone. That's only a day of what? Because Yom Kippur, it's all about what? Me and God and me. Purim is about me and my fellow man, which is a twofer, like Avraham Avinu. Remember, Avraham Avinu, God came to visit him, and Avraham Avinu said, excuse me, God, I have to take care of what? My guests. That covered? The king of England would come to visit you, and 3 guys are knocking, they want a meal. What would you say to the king? Excuse me, got to take care of the schnorrers. What? So from there the Talmud learns that what? Achnasas Archim is even greater than what? Than receiving God's presence. Why? I just told you why. Because when you're receiving God's presence, you're receiving God's presence. When you show kindness to another human being, it's a twofer. You didn't break with God's presence, because God is present in every human being. So when you take care of a person, you're continuing to what? Take care of God. Who taught us that, Daniel? Father Abraham. Father Abraham. It's no stira at all. That's pretty incredible. In the Haftorah, so the Parsha speaks about the Mishkan. In the Haftorah, it's Yechezkel speaks about the third temple. Describes in detail the third temple. And of all the prophets in Tanakh, the only one that God calls Ben Adam is what? Yechezkel. What does Ben Adam mean? A mensch. Even in modern Hebrew, a person is called a Ben Adam, right? Ata Ben Adam. Well, thank you very much. Doesn't Yechezkel know that he's a mensch? Be a mensch, Avi. Ata Ben Adam. So why of all the prophets is Yechezkel called Ben Adam? I have an idea, Yosef. Again, of all the prophets in Tanakh, he's the only one called Ben Adam, and he's the only one that describes the third temple in great detail. So perhaps God calls him Ben Adam, the prophet of the third temple, to teach that the third temple will be built by Ben Adam. It's not going to drop out of the sky. So the prophet that describes the Bayis Shlishi is called Ben Adam to teach that what? That we have to build it. Who said build it and he will come? Who said that? So perhaps that's the idea. That's the idea. But here we have a Machlokes, Rashi, and the Rambam. Who builds the third temple? Will it be built by human hands, or will it be built by what? By God. So there seems to be Raphael's conflicting psukim. In the Oz Yoshir, Migdash Hashem konyu liyadecha. In Parshat B'Shalach, the Torah says, Migdash Hashem, God's Migdash, Yodecha will be established by what? Your hand. Whose hands? Hashem's hands. But then in Parshas Truma it says, Va'osali Migdash. You guys have to build the Migdash. David, Houston Control, we have a problem here. Remember, Houston, we have a problem? Remember that? Apollo 13. A problem, right? They didn't panic. Amazing how they didn't freak out. Lost in space, literally. Right? We have a problem. One pasuk says in Parshat B'Shalach, Migdash Hashem konyu yadecha. That Hashem, you will build a bed. That's Rashi Shita and Tosfot. But in Parshas Truma, we have Osali Migdash. God said, you have to do it. That's Rambam Shita. So who's right, Yosef? What?
Both. Because
Beautiful.
Hashem is the project, you could call him a project manager, or you could call him director, or whatever you want to call him, but he's delegating the authority and the actions to us.
But where do we see this in daily life? The Talmud Kedushin says that every human being has 3 parents. You only thought you had 2, right, Yosef? Gemara Kedushin 31, every human being has what? 3 parents. 3 partners. Yeah. God provides the soul, and the human parents provide what?
The body.
The body. You can't have one without the other. A disembodied soul, is that a mensch?
No.
And a body without a soul is certainly not a mensch. Only when what?
Only when they're together.
We're together. So this is the dugma. I think Ben Adam Yecheskel, just like a human being is God's partner to create a human being, where God supplies the neshama and the parents provide what? The body. This is the dugma. How do you say it in English, dugma? The example for the third temple. The third temple is like a human being. There's a body and a soul. We have to build the body, like parents create the physical body of the child. We have to create the physical Beis HaMikdash, the building. We supply the guf, the physical binyan, and the neshama
Provides.
the big boss. So, Migdash Hashem Kodi Yadecha, Parshat V'Shalach, God's temple, your hands, that's referring to what, Raphael? The soul of the temple. The heavenly temple. When God says, build me a Migdash, he's speaking about what? Physical building. When we do the building, like husband and wife come together, then God supplies what? The soul. That's a dugma for the Beis HaMikdash. We supply the physical binyan, the guf, and God will supply the holy temple, the soul of the temple. Like parents and God. That's just amazing. That's just incredible. And therefore, David, you ever study Book of Kings?
Yeah, a little bit.
Kings 2, chapter 11. If you just came to hear this, David, this is a game changer. He came all the way from Mill Basin.
Who?
He came all the way from Mill Basin.
That's
David, Evelyn's son. He came to hear this game changer. The Mishkan is a model of the Jewish home, the Kabbalists say. In a Jewish home, you have a Shabbos candelabra. That's the menorah. In a Jewish home, you have a shulchan. The shulchan and the Mikdash, right? In a Jewish home, you have an oven. That's the Mizbeach. That's the Kodesh. But there's Kodesh HaKadoshim behind the curtain. Kings 2, chapter 11, you could look it up, calls the Holy of Holies Chadar HaMitot. Are you getting this? Now hear this. Yehuda, you got to impress your wife. Kings 2, chapter 11, calls the Kodesh HaKadoshim Chadar HaMitot. The bedroom. The Jewish bedroom is Holy of Holies. Why? Where else can a human being partner with God to create another human being? That's in the Jewish bedroom. Therefore, the Holy of Holies had the figure, the golden cherubs had the figure, a face of what? Of children. Male and female children on the golden statues. Because the Jewish bedrooms, Chadar HaMitot, the Kodesh HaKadoshim, where God and the human couple create another human being. That's Holy of Holies. And therefore, the act of getting married, Yosef, is called what? Kiddushin. Isn't that amazing? Tell them back in Mill Basin, look up Kings 2, chapter 11, where the Navi, who wrote Kings? Yirmiyahu calls the Kodesh HaKadoshim Chadar HaMitot.
Yirmiyahu wrote it?
Yirmiyahu wrote the book of Kings. Yirmiyahu wrote his book in the book of Kings. But Kings 2, chapter 11, he calls the Holy of Holies Chadar HaMitot. What a powerful idea. What an amazing idea. Therefore, getting married and having kids is the first mitzvah of the Torah. Because there we become God's partner in creating what? A human being. That's just an amazing idea. Amazing idea where without the human couple, the soul would have nowhere to what? To go. A disembodied soul is not human.
Therefore, even if the baby is not come to fruition, you're doing God's work.
You're doing God's work. You're becoming His partner.
It doesn't come to term.
Right? There's a tikkun there. There's a reincarnation is involved. There's something incredible over here. I wish we had a Tanakh, but you get on, you look it up, in Yecheskel. In Bayit Shlishi, David just came to hear this. You got to tell them Mill Basin, the Torah of Pisgat Zev. Okay? It says, Yecheskel says what's going to happen in the Bayis Shlishi. He describes in great detail, Yehuda, the third temple. And then he says, the third temple, we have to inaugurate the Mizbeach. Shivat Yomim Yechapru et HaMizbeach. 7 days shall atonement be made for the Mizbeach. What does the Mizbeach need atonement for 7 days for? And the third temple, no less. The third temple, the Jewish people want to have no more sins. Hanoch. This is an idea I want you to share with Rabbi Goldberg. The Haftarah, Ezekiel chapter 43, verse 26. This, I'm going to read it Shabbos. Shivat Yom Yechapra Mizbeach. 7 days in the third temple, the high priest in the third temple. Who will it be? The Navi says Yecheskel, Tchiat HaMeitim, Yehuda. Yecheskel, Tchiat HaMeitim. Yecheskel will be the officiating high priest. Raphael, your old relative, Yecheskel. And he says that he's going to make kapara for the altar 7 days. And the altar has the name Ariel. What does Ariel mean? The Lion of God. So Rashi said because in the third temple, the fire of God will descend from heaven and crouch like what? A lion. Ariel. And it's also called Harel. So the Mizbeach represents whom? Hashem. So what are you making kapara for 7 days? The Mizbeach represents God. Twice God calls the Mizbeach Harel. What does Harel mean? David Harel, where is he? The mountain of God. And Ariel, the lion of God. So Mizbeach represents God. So what does the Mizbeach, which represents God, need atonement for 7 days? David, what's the message? Says the Zohar something incredible. The third temple, the end of time, God Kaviyachol will say, give me a kapara for putting you through all of the tzoros, for the Holocaust and all the terrorism and all the persecutions that we went through throughout our long and bitter exile. God says, Bevakasha, kapara, the Mizbeach represents Kaviyachol HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Shivat Yom Yechapru et HaMizbeach, says the Zohar. Incredible idea. There's a plan, but God had to put us through all of the suffering, and Kaviyachol HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked for a kapara in the form of the Bayis Shlishi. The third temple will require a kapara for the Mizbeach, which is called Ariel, Harel. There was a plan, there is a plan, even though we don't know why, but still. You know, when a parent spanks a child, what does he say, Yehuda? This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. God doesn't punish us. God doesn't have to punish us. It's corrective surgery. Therefore, there's one profession, David, in the whole Chumash that God calls himself. Ani Hashem Roifecha. One profession, B'shalach. I am God, your doctor. Therefore, every Jewish mother wants her son to be a doctor. It's God's profession. Why does God call himself that? You see a doctor performing painful surgery on a patient. It looks like the doctor's being cruel, but that's what it looks like. Is he being cruel? No. He's being kind. He's saving the patient. God says, I'm your doctor. Just like you trust Dr. Goldberg to perform painful surgery because you know it's for your good. So Kadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol Le'aleinu sometimes has to do painful surgery. What? To rehabilitate and cure our soul. That's the paradox. That the affliction of the body is the cure for the soul. The analogy is painful surgery. Painful surgery to cure the person. Le'aleinu, he has a disease, he needs painful surgery, open heart surgery. The doctor's not being cruel, he's being kind. So God says, I'm like Dr. Goldberg. Suffering is the painful surgery that will rehabilitate and cure what? The neshama for eternity. And therefore, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Ani Hashem Roifecha. I am God, your doctor. Any questions? On Sunday we have a shir, the Yetzer Hara, the master of disguise.
For more of Rabbi Sprecher's teachings, visit rabbisprecher.com.